What you just witnessed is quite possibly the most legendary and iconic moment in the entire Resident Evil series. It certainly is for RE5. A monumental event that engraved itself in the memory of fans everywhere, ensuring that it will never be forgotten and that it will forever be a renowned part of one of gaming's most beloved franchises. However, this was not always the case. While Chris Redfield punching the heck out of a boulder went on to inspire jokes and memes for years to come, carve a profound place in gaming history, forge an enduring legend that shall never die and that strikes fear into the heart of a certain Romanian Van Helsing lookalike, cementing it as part of the series lore in the process. Back when Resident Evil 5 released in 2009, this moment was as divisive as the game itself, drawing a clear line that divided the fanbase in two. So how was this now legendary moment first received? How did the overall perception of it change as time went on? And where does it stand today, especially with regards to it making a comeback in RE5's inevitable remake? At launch, Chris punching the boulder was met with a mixed reception. Some fans found it to be over the top and absurd, especially considering the context of the scene and the overall tone of the game. This is an understandable reaction since obviously punching a giant boulder out of the way like this is in no way realistic. In fact, it's probably physically impossible, regardless of how buff you are and how much adrenaline is coursing through your veins. In real life, Chris would just have ended with every bone in his fist shattered, and the boulder would have been left with a very bloody and fleshy print of a fist. Here are some comments that I handpicked from a video featuring this moment that was posted 15 years ago, so around the game's release, that perfectly captured the negative outlook some people had and still have on this moment.
This is truly outrageous.
Remember when Resident Evil was supposed to be survival horror?
Why? Why would they do this?
Most stupid thing in the game. This is not possible.
Wouldn't he have broken his hand after the first or second punch?
This was the exact scene that I knew I would never play a Resident Evil game again.
Played this before ever hearing about it or internet access. It really takes you out for a sec. Capcom really said to make this game as unrealistic as possible.
So stupid, LOL.
So, is this still a horror game?
If you watch closely, you can see the franchise die.
So unrealistic. How can a human being do that?
The most dumb scene I think I've ever seen in a game.
This is stupid even by Resident Evil standards.
However, like I said, the reception was mixed. While some people absolutely hated this moment, others saw it as a humorous and memorable moment that added to the game's entertainment value. After all, nothing says dumb crazy fun like a man punching the heck out of a giant boulder like he's in an anime or a cartoon. If you forget that this is meant to be a serious and climactic boss fight and you embrace the absurdity of this singular moment, you can appreciate it for how nonsensical it is and you can poke fun at it. As ridiculous as this event is, you cannot deny that it's hilarious, especially if you start making jokes about it. Here are some more comments that I handpicked from the same video, this time that perfectly captured the positive outlook some people had and still have on this moment. And yes, some of them are just comic gold.
And people say Resident Evil 5 sucks. This is why I don't agree.
The punch is what makes it. It's so stupid, but if you remove it, you'll basically have a boring cutscene. The stupidity of the scene is what makes it memorable.
It's beautiful. So beautiful.
He was a beast.
The Hulk ain't got nothing on Chris Redfield.
Not gonna lie, this was intense to watch.
Top 10 anime battles, and this fight would be on all the 10 spots.
Dwayne Johnson doesn't stand a chance.
Every morning I watch this video to get my motivation.
The true final boss in all of gaming.
Like, that's the manliest thing I've ever seen.
When Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson goes to bed every night, he sure checks under it for Chris Redfield.
Chris Redfield built the ancient pyramids himself.
It's over Boulder. I have the high ground.
It's not enough that he actually pushes the boulder, but the fact that he actually punches it into submission just makes this the best scene in gaming history.
This video has taught me that if punching something doesn't work, you're not punching it enough. Or maybe it doesn't work because you're not Chris Redfield.
Easily the manliest moment in video game history.
This is why the Redfield bloodline must continue.
I can only imagine that Chris's least favorite wrestler is Dwayne Johnson.
Chris Redfield doesn't use steroids. Steroids use Chris Redfield.
Chris says he's no superhero on the boat ride cutscene, but then we catch him doing this nonsense like he's the friggin' Credible Hulk.
This is unironically the greatest moment in any Resident Evil game ever.
The best fight in the Resident Evil series, hands down.
So yeah, as you can see, the way people feel about this moment varies greatly. However, over time, the perception of this scene has evolved. While some fans still view it as a jarring and out-of-place moment in the series, others have come to appreciate it for its campiness and meme-worthy quality. The scene has become a source of humor within the Resident Evil community, with many fans embracing it as a quirky aspect of the game. I certainly think that this moment now has way more lovers than haters, while before the opposite was true. This one comment from the same video illustrates this.
When it first came out, people hated this scene. Now we all love it.
People have grown to love this moment, so much in fact that they demand that it returns for the remake of RE5. This is apparent not only in comments from the same video, with some even saying they won't buy a remake if there is no boulder punching, but it's also clear in this poll I held a few weeks ago in preparation for this video. So what's the deal? Why did this moment go from an absurd joke to a legendary icon? Well, I think that time just has a way to make our perception change, especially when it comes to things that we initially dismiss, hate, ridicule, etc. over time. Whether it's because we age and thus mature, or we grow to see things differently based on what we see and experience, or society and life change in a way that makes some things that were once impossible, or wrong, or dumb, suddenly become plausible, right, and valid. The passage of time can definitely morph our perception. It's certainly no coincidence that there are countless movies that are panned when first released, only to go on to become cult classics or fan favorites years down the line. Chris punching the boulder is on the same boat. Back in 2009, most of us were perplexed by this. We wondered why something so stupidly ridiculous made its way into the game. But then, years later, we looked back and suddenly were like, man, that was sure something special and hilarious, huh? It's like when something embarrassing happens to you IRL. In the moment, you hate it. But years later, it becomes a fun anecdote to share and reminisce about with friends and family. It's the same with this moment. Another thing that helped it achieve its iconic status is that Capcom themselves embraced it by having Heisenberg reference it in Village.
That boulder punching asshole! That's your first!
This is them acknowledging that yes, this did happen and they are not ashamed of it. In fact, they recognize it as a canonical part of the franchise that cannot be forgotten. It's now part of the lore and history of the franchise, ensuring not only that it will almost certainly return in the remake, but also that we can expect it to be referenced and joked about in future games. Heck, maybe even the remake itself will foreshadow it while also poking fun at it. And in case you're wondering, no, I also have no clue how in the world Heisenberg knew about something only 3 people witnessed, one of which is dead. I guess Sheba must have made sure that the grandiose legend of Chris's epic battle with the boulder was spread and passed around as much as possible so that it could be engraved in the minds of as many people as possible, regardless of what corner of the world they are from. In any case, both in and outside of the games, this legendary and iconic moment endures, and it will likely continue to do so for years to come. Overall, the reception to Chris Redfield punching the boulder in Resident Evil 5 remains divided, with opinions ranging from amusement to criticism. However, for better or for worse, it has undeniably left a lasting impact on the franchise, and it continues to be a topic of discussion among fans to this day, and it will likely remain as such for a very, very long time. I think it's safe to say that it would be ill-advised and a huge mistake to remove it from the remake. So Capcom, please let the legend return. Make sure to tell me how you feel about this iconic moment in the comments below. Also, please click the links on screen to check out more videos like this one. I will see you over there. Thank you so very much for watching.